Welcome back to my channel, guys. As you read the title above, this video is for all my ladies out there. I just want to put this disclaimer out there that this video is not about bashing birth control, or to those of you who are on birth control, this is just me sharing my personal experience while being on birth control and getting off birth control as well. I do support those of you who are on birth control and those of you who are off birth control. It is your body, your choice, by all means. I also want to make sure to let you know that I am not a doctor, okay? I am not trying to give you medical advice. I would highly recommend that you consult your doctor first if you are actually really considering on getting off of birth control. Grab yourself a snack or a drink, get yourself comfy, because we are gonna go into this long ramble about my experience. This has actually been a long awaited topic I've really been wanting to talk about, just because I know during my experience with getting off birth control, it was just honestly really confusing and really complicated because I felt like I didn't have a lot of resources to help me, and as well as just even being able to comfort me with getting off of the pill. So this is why I wanted to start this segment and also create this video, just so that I can help out any of the females out there who are thinking about getting off birth control and just getting some little insights regarding to my experience. Start off with my background with birth control. I actually first got on it when I was 17 years old, and I got on birth control as a teenager because at the time I was having irregular periods, and at the time a lot of my friends were just like recommending it to me even though I wasn't sexually active or anything like that. They did tell me that it would help with acne and as well as just being able to regulate my period more on a monthly basis. I got off birth control around when I was 18, just because at the time I felt like I definitely gained a lot of weight for just being on it for a year, even though it was helping with my acne and regulating my period on a monthly basis. There was also some family members that were frowning upon just me being on birth control because of just cultural values and differences that they just really did not agree with me being on the pill. For granted, I know I probably shouldn't have listened to them at the time, but I was 18. I really didn't know any better at the time, and I didn't like the fact that I was gaining a lot of weight as well too in such a short amount of time. So I just thought I would just rip the band-aid off and just not be on it, since I wanted to learn how to regulate my period normally. So within time, I actually got back on birth control when I was 22 because it was my first time being in a serious relationship. And at the time, me and my partner, we were not wanting to have kids or anything like that anytime soon. And we just felt like birth control was the best method at this time. I was not just on it for a year. I was on birth control from 22 all the way to 28. As a teenager, for the whole year, I was just on the birth control pills, and I was taking Yaz at the time. And then from 22 to 28, I was on Tarina. I'm just gonna bring that in. I was on this one the whole entire time, and this is a pill form if you were wondering. I chose the pill form just because I know it worked best for me, and I am actually one of those people that was very always on time, just because I always had an alarm and I would set it around 9 p.m. to take my pill every single night. This video, I will mainly be talking about Tarina, just because this is the one that I've had the longest experience on and that I feel comfortable sharing about. To start things off, this pill really did do its job with protecting me from getting any unwanted pregnancies from being 22 to 28. Throughout the years, I've only had 2 times where my period came late. I just remember the first time it was because I was going through my first breakup at 23 and also working my first 9 to 5 job that I just really did not like. And it was just really stressful for me to deal with. And the second time was being 28, where I was just dealing with the worries of moving out of state, my relationship at the time. I should specifically say long distance relationship at the time, and also even trying to find a new job out of state just so I can close my long distance relationship. My period being late twice while being on the pill for that long. I am grateful that both of the times I did not have any pregnancies at all. From 22 to 24, I felt like it treated me very, very well just because I wasn't getting any symptoms. There was no bloating, no acne, no gaining weight or anything like that, or holding any water weight, none of that. Like, it was just great. And even my periods, like, they were just about 4 to 5 days, and they were not heavy at all, and they did come regularly on a monthly basis as well too. So I was pretty happy at the time. Between 22 to 24. 25 was the first time I had noticed some changes, and you know, for granted, that was the year of 2020 when COVID hit. And of course, like anyone, it was extremely stressful period of time for everyone, honestly. So I felt like with dealing with external factors, it just caused more stress. I was actually starting to get a little more breakouts on my face during the time of when my period was coming. And then I remember at 25, that was when I first started like experiencing those lower back pains and just a little bit being more bloated. I think during that summer of 2020, I also started getting HS boils, which I will do a whole video about this topic and specifically what I'm talking about. But in a nutshell, they are these like little tiny boils that form in very sensitive areas on your body, and they are very painful. They stay for a while too, and it's not the easiest thing to manage them as well. And of course, I will leave a link down below if you want to learn more about these HS boils that I'm talking about. From 26 to 27, I felt like I was dealing a lot with these symptoms in an even worse way. It just felt like it was just getting worse because I was getting more breakouts, and they weren't tiny anymore. They turned into like little bigger ones that kind of left a little more scarring on my face. And especially when that time like of the month came, I felt like I was dealing with more being on the fatigue side, as well as just having some major mood swings as well. And on top with the bloating, and of course, this is where I felt like I was starting to feel more on the depressive side as well too. We are at 28, which was last year. I felt like it got really, really bad. Not only was I dealing with the bloating, the more of the HS boils, and the lower back pain, the fatigue, mood swings, even just feeling depressive. But the bloating got to the point where it was affecting my whole digestive system, where I couldn't eat certain things, especially like processed foods or like eating out, as well as even drinking coffee or any alcoholic beverages. They were a no-no at all. Like, it just would send me to having really bad stomach aches, and like even to the point where it felt like it was always underneath my rib cage area, where it just felt like there was just so much pain, and it's like this sharp pain on my rib cage area that was not fun to deal with as well. And on top, I did gain a lot more weight last year. And with that weight, I felt like it didn't matter how much I worked out or how well I ate. Like, the weight was just not budging. The digestive issue was a whole entire thing itself. I was dealing with this in March? Wow, oh my God. I was dealing with this a year ago. But not only was I just having digestive issues, but it turned into a whole thing of just, you know, having a hard time passing stool and dealing with pain, a lot of pain, sharp pain underneath my rib cage area. And I just remember at the time it was like hard for me to sit or stand for long periods of time, especially when I was at work too, which was not fun because for my work it did require me to be on my feet. I just I remember I went to go get a checkup and all my tests came back negative, which was really annoying. I definitely remember at the time of just being so confused, exhausted, and really freaking frustrated because I just didn't know what was going on. But I remember at the time I started looking into more about vitamins, and then also what I could do with my diet to help me with those digestive issues. It was honestly a very confusing time for me, especially with just learning about vitamins and the certain vitamins that I could take with birth control. The two can clash. So when it comes to taking vitamins and birth control, I definitely recommend doing your research on that as well too, and even speaking to a professional about it, because you don't want to mix two substances or chemicals that don't go well with one another as well. So with everything that happened at 28, it really did leave me to the decision of getting off birth control last year in August, just because I just felt like it wasn't working for me anymore physically and chemically. I was just really tired of not knowing of, you know, what I can and can't eat that would affect my digestive system. I was really tired of the bloating, the HS boils, as well as just even becoming so depressive and fatigued, and the brain fog. That was literally so real since I had such a hard time concentrating and focusing on things as well too, especially when I was at work. I hated how much the bloating and the back pain got so bad, because I still remember like during that time of the month, I would just wound up wanting to be at home the first 3 to 4 days of being on my period, because even though it wasn't heavy, it was still causing me so much pain in my back and just feeling so fatigued that I really did not have energy for literally anything. Like I said before, I wasn't just experiencing pain with the HS boils and even the lower back pain while I'm on my period, but dealing with digestive issues, that pain was just a whole other level that was so exhausting and extremely frustrating that I was just so sick and tired of as well too. From not being able to lose weight too, and just always just maintaining that heavier weight, it really did picked away my self-confidence and even to just how I felt about myself. I want to mention again with the HS boils, I wasn't just, you know, getting one at a time. I was getting like 1 to 3 of them within a month. And like I told you, these boils are painful and they're not easy to get rid of and manage as well too. So I was just really tired of that as well. And if you read anything about the HS boils, you'll understand what I'm talking about, because hormones are a really big factor, and as well as gaining weight too causes for HS boils to also develop. Dealing with a lot of external factors that was causing me a lot of stress as well too at 28. So from the external factors and even from the internal factors that were happening to me within my body, I just felt like that's why it drew me to the bigger conclusion of wanting to get off of birth control. Looking back, I felt like with everything I was dealing with, and, you know, also taking something chemically, it does affect your brain and body in a physiological way. So it made my symptoms like 100 times worse. So as I mentioned before, I decided to get off of birth control in August of last year in 2023. I chose that time because at that time I had just finished my move to the Pacific Northwest region, and it was almost a month since I was there and just settling in, and I thought that it would be a really good timing to just get off. Of course, at the time, I did consider my partner in the picture because he was still in a relationship with me, and we both had talked about it a lot throughout the time as well too, and I was actually really happy that he was really supportive about it and that we did choose other methods for birth control wise. So it's been 7 months now since I have been off birth control, and of course my conditions have fluctuated a lot. I felt like for the first 2 months, it was seriously a freaking roller coaster, okay? I'm not gonna deny that, okay? I just remember I had gained even more weight because of just the whole move, and you know, at the time of the week for my period coming for the first time while I was off birth control, I actually went into the ER twice because I was experiencing this even more severe pain than I had ever imagined in my pelvic area. And it was seriously not fun because I was diagnosed for uterine fibroids. Which I also want to mention that I will make another segment video about uterine fibroids as well too, because when you try to look up this topic, there's like zero information, like not, I shouldn't say zero, but there's not very helpful information on YouTube about uterine fibroids. And even when you look it up online, it is really freaking scary to read about as well too. So I feel like I really want to talk about that topic as well, just to, you know, share some support and encouragement to my ladies who are dealing with uterine fibroids, because it is a freaking scary experience. Nutshell, with that pain, it felt like something was stabbing me in my pelvic area, and my girl down there, she was super unhappy as well too. And this is a little TMI, but I am talking about my girl down there. She was very dry, which made it even more extremely painful for me to pee or stand or even sit up, which was seriously not fun. And I remember too that I was so bloated that it felt so uncomfortable. I was so depressed, and I remember like not being able to sleep because I was just in so much pain. I dealt with this pain for like a good 2 weeks, and it was freaking horrible, especially when my period came afterwards. I try to do research about the topic, which is, like I said, it's really scary to read about, honestly. I just remember at the time I was just dealing with a lot when it came to that part. And I think by the time it hit 3 months of being off birth control, I remember at the time, even whenever I was like stressed out or when my period was coming, I would still feel that pelvic pain. Just knowing that, you know, my body is working really hard to, you know, basically try and give me a period and function as well too, which really sucked. And for the first 3 months, I was on a very hardcore diet as well too, which I will get into that in another section. I think my symptoms finally calmed down about, I want to say 5 months into without being on birth control. It finally, I felt more stabilized, if anything, and my periods were just, I wouldn't say they're normal. I'm like, wait a second, they're not normal. They're still quite heavy, but not as heavy as it was the first 3 months of getting off of birth control. It is still heavy now, but I feel like it's, you know, definitely more manageable whenever that time comes, and I don't really feel as much of the pelvic pain like I normally would. My advice for you, to those who are experiencing that cramping and the pelvic pain, I would definitely just, you know, take those painkillers. They are going to be your best friend, whether it be ibuprofen or Tylenol or Advil, what have you. As well as even just having a warm compress, like just a heating pad. That definitely really helps me so much during my period days, especially like the first to 3 days of being on my period. Talking more about my period, I did go in with the expectation of it not coming back regularly, just because that was the thing that I felt like came up a lot whenever I researched the topic of what it would be like to get off birth control and like what to expect. And even just knowing my body, I know that it hasn't always been regular, especially as a teenager. So I felt like getting off of birth control, it felt like just a major reset for me and my body as well too. But surprisingly, I am happy that, you know, my period has been regular. There was only 1 month where it didn't come just because I was extremely stressed out in November. This was the time where I had gotten a job as well too, and the job was extremely stressful as well. And at the time I was still dealing with relationship issues as well too. So I just felt like with all the stress happening outside, my body was just not happy with me at the time. But other than that, it has been coming regularly once a month. Fortunately, I still break out whenever it is that time of the month. But I will say my bloating has calmed down a lot, thank God. And that, you know, my digestive system isn't as picky as what it used to be, but it doesn't mean that I can go back to being in my early 20s and gorging on chips and, you know, drinking every single weekend. I can't do that anymore since I am in my late 20s now. Say I still get, you know, fatigued, and I do still have my mood swings whenever I am on my period now, but they are definitely not as bad as how it used to be when I was on the pill. That is for sure. And I feel like I can also work out now too during the time of the month, because I definitely remember that I felt so uncomfortable and so bloated that it was just not comfortable for me to go to the gym and go work out. Like that was the last thing I wanted to do because of how fatigued I was. And another big part was just my mood, my overall mood, I feel like has gotten so much better, and I don't feel as brain fogged whenever I am on my period. I definitely feel like I concentrate a lot better now, and I can actually really focus in on things. But don't get me wrong, there's definitely days where I get distracted or I feel unmotivated and things like that, but it's definitely not as what it used to be like being on the pill. Now we are gonna move into vitamins and your diet, which is honestly very big and just a key part to this transition. This is key because while you are on birth control, I feel like it really does deplete your body of so much nutrients and vitamins that are already inside of your body. So when you are off the pill, you no longer have those chemicals that are being ingested in you, and you do need to replenish those nutrients for your body and support it as well too, to regulate normal hormone function. Taking probiotics will seriously save your life, and I seriously mean that. So this is the one that I took. This is the Woman's Daily Care. And this is from Garden of Life. I took this one for 5 months, which you don't have to do that. You can honestly take it for a good, I want to say 3 months, if anything, and then kind of just go from there and feel out, you know, does my body need it? Does it not? Trust me, you'll know if your body needs it. At least for me, how I know that it needed it was because it really did help with the uterine fibroids, as well as even just calming down that pelvic pain, and even, I'm just gonna say it, keeping my girl happy down there as well too. I knew she wasn't happy whenever she was really dry, so that was pretty much my indication of like, okay, I need to continue taking the probiotics to help support my womanly organs, my female organs. I also want to mention, if you are dealing with dryness down there, vitamin E is also a really good source. I don't take that every day, like I said, but I only take it when it's really dry down there, or I just notice some like irritation and kind of like itchiness, then I will take the vitamin E just to help me and help my girl down there as well too, to not feel so dry and irritated. I did take on a daily basis for the last, I want to say 5 months, is vitamin D, vitamin B, vitamin C, and also fish oil. They are all a must. And like I said, I took this for, for a good 5 months. And I did lean off of fish oil and vitamin C just because I feel like now it really just depends on, like, for fish oil, it depends if my skin is feeling dry or like my hair feels dry, or I don't know if my nails are cracking. That is usually when I'll take fish oil. And then for vitamin C, that is more for immunity. So if I'm just feeling under the weather, I'm feeling icky, then I will take vitamin C. It does help whenever you are having, I would say, just not even just feeling under the weather with feeling sick, but for vitamin C, it did help me when I was dealing with the HS boils as well too, to just speed up recovery, and same with the fish oil pills as well too. The thing that I do still take on a daily basis is vitamin D and vitamin B. They're just super Another important thing that I do want to mention is, if you are experiencing cramps, and even for uterine fibroids as well too, with the pelvic pain area, I actually was taking cramp bark. That it helps a lot, just because it does help with alleviating muscle pain or any of cramping as well too. I got it in like a tincture form in like the oil. So I would just put basically, I would just like squeeze up one tube, and I would just put that oil in my tea. That way I can just sip on it, and it helps me just relax as well too. I mean, you can take this before you go to bed, or I would mainly recommend just taking cramp bark when you are home, not a day when you're at work or anything like that, just because it does kind of make you feel a little sleepy and very relaxed. So anytime when it's your day off, you can totally go for, putting some cramp bark in. Another thing that I love is magnesium glycinate. Am I saying it right? If I'm not, I'm sorry. But magnesium is freaking amazing. This not only helps you relax and calm down the cramping as well too, with any muscle aches, but I also take this when I'm on my period or whenever I am feeling anxious. I take this before I go to bed, since it does help with sleep as well, specifically magnesium glycinate, that is. If you take any other magnesium, they do different things. So please read it before you consume the magnesium, and just knowing what magnesium does and which one works with what, I should say. But I also want to put this disclosure that I don't recommend you mixing magnesium and the cramp bark we just mentioned. What I normally do is, if I do want both of those two in one day, I will normally sip on cramp bark around the morning or afternoon time, maybe more so like around late afternoon time. That way it just kind of relaxes my body, and like I can still be awake and not feel extremely sleepy. And then by the time when it's like, okay, now it's time to really like decompress and get ready for bed, that is when I take magnesium. And of course, like I wouldn't, I wouldn't take the two within the same hour. I would probably take cramp bark like around, let's say 5 to 6 p.m. And then before I go to bed is usually around 11 p.m. at night. So you have those in between hours of separation. So that way it doesn't make you basically full on feel extremely drowsy as well too. Now I'm gonna go into the diet part, which is honestly very vital, like I just mentioned. I basically cut out a lot of sugars, carbs, processed foods, any salty foods, alcohol, and caffeine for a good, I want to say for a good 2 months, honestly. And of course, it's not easy, and there were definitely days where I definitely had my cheat days, but whenever I had my cheat days, I would full on go to support vegan restaurants or just vegan places. That way I know that I'm just slowly introducing things back to my body, and as well as just, knowing that more so for vegan ingredients, they don't hurt my body as much, I would say, just because the foods that I ate, whenever my body did not like it, I would start bloating. I would have that stomach pain again on my rib cage area, as well as just feeling really uncomfortable and having a hard time digesting things. So vegan food, yes. Vegan food is a must. And of course, there were some things that I could not give up. I think one of the biggest things for me with carbs was rice. Even though I could not give up rice, I did limit the portion that I would eat, and I would only allow myself to have it once a day, and that's it. And most of the time when I had rice, it was just during lunch, and that's it. And I did do intermittent fasting as well too, which I went 15 hours without eating. So I think at the time, I remember I would start at 8 p.m. and I would not allow myself to eat until noon or 1 p.m. And I've honestly been doing this for honestly quite some time now. I started doing it in September, and then I think I kind of slowed down a little bit when I started working again. But now that I'm not working, I do still have that in-between window of just not eating from 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. now instead. So it really does help with just, with my digestive system and being able to still eat the things that I would like and also be mindful of the things that I eat. So not only is, taking vitamins and also, managing your diet a really huge part, but also working out is a very, very huge part as well too. Going to the gym has been beneficial for me. Not only did it help me lose weight, but it also helped me a lot mentally with dealing with my anxiety and my depression as well. And this is why I've always stressed on going to the gym, because I know ever since being 21, it has always helped me to just calm down those thoughts, calm down my overthinking, and just put me in such a better headspace, honestly. And I really encourage those of you who are feeling anxious or depressed to go work out, because it really does help with your mindset as well as your confidence and your self-esteem. And of course, I can't force you to go, but that is just my 2 cents that it has helped me a lot. And, throughout the years of working out, I really cannot stress it enough that it really has helped me improve on so many things, honestly. And now we are leading into my final topic, which is just the resources that really have helped me that I do want to share with you, that can help you if you are thinking about getting off birth control, or if you just want to learn more about the experience of getting off birth control as well. And mind you, I do want to put this in that none of this is sponsored, and it is not me being partnered or anything. This is just me sharing my resources and what helped me throughout my journey. There were 2 YouTubers that really became my best friend while getting off birth control. I really enjoyed watching their journey and hearing about their input about getting off birth control, and even just their experience overall. The first YouTuber I want to mention is Vivian V. I really enjoyed watching her video, and of course I will link her down below in my description box, specifically the video that helped me. And then the second YouTuber is Kyla as well too. She goes in about her whole entire birth control journey experience, breaking it down from being her first month to 3 months to I think 6 months, and then to 9 to a year. And I just honestly loved it because she gave so many helpful tips and resources about getting off birth control, and talking about how her conditions were too when she got off of birth control as well. So like I said before, I will link both of those two YouTubers down below in my description box. And if you want to see them, go check them out. Please go give them some love, because honestly, they really deserve it for just being so supportive and just so encouraging and giving amazing and another huge resource I want to really share with you guys is that this book, Beyond the Pill, by Dr. Brighton. This is such an informative book. Like, it has so much resources, a lot of research and scientific data within the book, that I would highly recommend to those of you who are considering getting off birth control, or who, you know, want to learn more about how to, you know, nourish your body while you're on birth control. I just feel like she just does such an amazing job explaining about everything about birth control, and also giving you knowledge and insights about how to get off the pill, or even like how to just support your body better while being on birth control. I also love that she has, like, on the back of the book, she has all these recipes for those of you who are considering to get off birth control. She has all these recipes and a plan, and also other very helpful resources to help you while you're getting off birth control. And there is a very informative page as well too, that talks about other forms of birth control methods if you are sexually active, which I find it to be very helpful as well too. So that is it to my whole birth control experience, at least to up to this 7 months of experience. If you feel like this would be helpful to any of the ladies that you know, feel free to share my video, because I would love to share my experience and, you know, share my insights to anyone who would benefit from, you know, everything about birth control and my experience. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it down in the comments below. I will do my best to answer them if I can. There will be more videos about this segment on birth control, as I mentioned to you before. I do want to make another video of my 9 months update, and then also even a year long of what it was like to be off birth control. So stick around for those segments. Thank you guys so much for, you know, sticking around and listening to this long personal ramble about my birth control experience. And without further, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye guys.